Yo, what's going on, boys?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing good, man. Busy weekend. How about you guys? You guys doing all right?
Doing
Sean,
good, doing good.
you've had a real busy weekend, Sean.
I have. My hands are still dirty as we speak.
Yeah, man. I all the roasting equipment going in is massive. Being able to distribute out of one center point, being in control of the roasting, the shipping, the branding, the distribution, it's pretty awesome. Real excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I got a train outside, but I'm super excited. Put in a lot of time. I have this last. I'm putting in the electrical now, but as soon as that's done, be up and running. So super excited.
Nice. And I think we got by tonight we'll be about 75% done the rebrand, at least visually, but it'll be in place, internally overnight. And then, dude, it's going to be a wild few weeks ahead. Can't wait. Matt, how was your weekend, man?
Weekend, it was good. Had a relaxing weekend, which kind of was needed. But you guys have been busy as all can be. I mean, Sean was busy all weekend. But yeah, my weekend was great. How was yours,
Awesome. Good. I feel like I had some family time. We went to the zoo. We did all these things, but I was kind of tethered to my computer. Even if I wasn't here mentally, I was. So pulling everything together, which has been great. Been a couple months of really working through everything and getting ready to really press play in a big way, and it's all coming together, which is super exciting. But good weekend overall. Not a great weekend in crypto. Interested in a little market breakdown from you, Matt. Maybe Sean, you could add some clarity too.
Sure. So yeah, Bitcoin even went down. We were thinking it decoupled from the stock market, which was good, but it came all the way down to 72,000, sitting at 78.5 right now. So the S&P and like the NASDAQ, the stock market, had 3 straight down days pretty much. And then this morning we opened lower just because futures opened lower, and on the S&P got as low as 4,800 or 48.8, and then it there must have been some type of announcement or because of the Fed's closed door meeting that they're having this morning. I mean, we went up all the way up to 5,300 on the S&P, which was about half of the losses that we had made on this whole dip. But anyway, this whole dip is reminiscent of the COVID dip, right? And that was in Trump's presidency, and that was when the Fed changed policy. So there's a lot of different factors going on with the market. There's a lot of uncertainty, of course, from the tariffs, and everybody kind of wondering what that strategy is. And so, I mean, we put on heavy tariffs on China and Japan, and that announcement really is what started the whole crash in the markets. But today, so Trump responded to, China responded with an additional 34% tariffs on us, on the U.S. And so Trump responded today that if they don't walk that back by tomorrow, Trump will impose an additional 50% on China. So this is all part of just trying to use tariffs as a strength to get nations to negotiate, right? And kind of make it more fair. And there's a big trade deficit. So we're trying to make that better. But, Japan just stated today that they're willing to negotiate with the U.S. And then the Fed had a closed door board meeting. I know they have usual closed door board meetings, but the Fed could lower rates before the next FOMC meeting. I mean, so that could be happening. Taiwan offers a zero tariffs and pledges to increase its investment in the U.S. The EU said it's ready to discuss 0 to 0 tariffs with the U.S., but Trump answered back with 25% tariffs. So he's like, okay, well, we'll do 25%. And so, but let's see. Oh, yeah. Trump said that the U.S. is on track to eliminate capital gains tax in 2025. So there was a big China deal back in Trump's last presidency after the COVID crash that Xi walked away from. So nobody really got what they wanted, and the market still did really well. I mean, that was one of the biggest rallies in S&P history. And so continuous rallies. And so, and a lot of that actually was due to the tax, the difference in tax. I know people would argue that, my taxes didn't seem lower or whatever, but what it was to be able to bring all the large corporations and individuals that have money offshore to be able to bring it onshore and without it being taxed as much. But so that would be a recipe for growth. So when will we start finding buyers? When will we erase this crash in the stock market and in crypto? It could happen sooner than later. Obviously, that's my opinion on it. But it's yet to be seen. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So, well, Sean, interested in your take. You probably have a little bit of a tighter grasp than I do. So interested in what you're seeing and what you're thinking.
Man, I'm excited about the Katoshi mint tomorrow. That's what I was just looking at. It's 20 hours and 34 minutes away. So I know I got 1 or 2 white lists. So I think this thing's going to mint out in like 5 minets. What else?
Sure. Yeah.
What else is minting? There's that Eternals is minting. But they've only done 17%, so 400 or 793 out of the 4,444. So it's in public now. So
you know how long that's been open for?
I think it opened on the 8th, maybe today. I don't know. Or no, today's the 6th. I think it opened on the 6th.
Nice. Well, so yeah, because we kind of always want to gauge what the market appetite is, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Katoshis will mint out very fast because everybody's dying for a whitelist, and there's not enough people. Yeah, there's not enough Katoshis to allow for even all the people on the whitelist to mint one. Maybe
not.
Yeah. So that's interesting. No, that'll be an interesting one. That's been building up for quite a while, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and I guess my Katoshis that have been on ETH, they should probably be over there pretty soon as well. So excited to see that. Nothing else really going on. Everything seems pretty down. OCM Genesis is up 25%. Runestone's up 29%. Bitmap is up 20%. So there's some things going up. A few things. I don't know. The stock market's crashing. It's hard for this crypto market to do something different, I guess. It used to, but I think it correlates a whole lot more now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess do ETFs, I guess, are a big reason for that, I would assume, or no? Matt, does that strengthen the correlation, for lack of a better word?
Well, Bitcoin's looked at as high risk, like a stock chart, or like a stock, like in the NASDAQ. So it mimics the NASDAQ. Bitcoin's market cap is larger than Google's, I believe. And so the funny thing is the larger that Bitcoin's market cap gets, the more that financial institutions and high net worth individuals need to own a piece of it. It's like it gets so big that it's so relevant that they feel like I need to get a piece of it. So it's an interesting thing where they don't do that early on until it proves itself and becomes big enough to where it's just not very responsible, I guess, to own a part of it. So that's good for Bitcoin.
And I mean, the crypto market seems like it's more resilient, or at least moves faster and gets through these kind of situations faster than the traditional stock market. Do you still think that's true? So do you think you're going to see a rebound in crypto first, or do you anticipate that they're so closely correlated that it's not really like that anymore?
Well, it depends on how risk on the environment gets, I think. So with all these tariffs and us not backing down from China, and I believe that there's a lot more going on than what we see like on the news. It's all a global effort. It's an orchestrated effort with central banks to get, because there's exchange rate differences, like in the Forex market with the currencies. And so with these tariffs, other countries are selling their tech stocks, their U.S. tech stocks. They're bringing that money home and they're buying their own treasuries. And then so they're able to debase their currencies even more. And so they're able to, so they're incentivized to go on to like an easing and stimulate their economies, and have their currencies go down faster than the dollar. But yeah, so anyway, it's like it's a global effort for a lot of stimulating the global economy this time around, just because the effort has to be bigger than last time, because the market caps are bigger than last time. And so if we're going to get another rally past all-time highs, we need, we're through the last boom cycle and we're into a bust cycle. And so it just makes sense that all the major countries have to be on board to start easing together.
Okay, so you're saying when they go back to buy, because you said that last week, right? So when they go back to buy buy their own treasuries, what is the reason? Is that because there's less of a risk appetite and that's why they do that, or is it coordinated? I'm trying to follow that, but I can't entirely.
Yeah. So it enables them to start easing and printing their own currency. And then because it makes it more manageable for them to endure these tariffs.
Okay, that makes sense. And I mean, on the tariffs, like I read that the other day as well, right? Where you saw, I think maybe on Friday it was Cambodia or something like that. You're talking about EU saying 0-0, but I guess at this point, I would, first of all, that would be a good outcome, right? And number two is I feel like if you're going the path that we're going, I don't know if you make everybody bleed a little bit, right? You make it so that not only are they fair, but they're imbalanced in our direction. And the more you make others panic, then the more likely they are to accept a somewhat lopsided deal. Is it as simple as that, do you think, or no?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, I mean, I don't think that people are really that dumb in government. I mean, in that are implementing this plan with Trump. But I think that they want to look dumb because then it's almost more unpredictable for other countries to know. It's a little more worrisome for them, and so then they're more likely to come to the table and make an agreement that's beneficial for us.
Yeah. So I guess it could be, I mean, that path could be a little bit longer. It's not going to be a 1 week fix, but if they come back to the table and say, hey, we'll go back to the drawing board, I mean, that's a positive. I guess we just don't want that to happen too quickly.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are already coming to the drawing board, and I think that this could carry on. It all depends on when the Fed or policy changes, like fiscal policy. And so once that changes, let's say the Fed comes out and says we're going to lower rates before the next FOMC meeting, that would be a signal to, hey, we're going risk on, and stocks would recover, and then everybody would forget about and probably walk back everything they've been saying about these tariffs.
Can they when could they do that? You're saying in COVID it was like a closed door kind of like it seemed like it happened like an emergency response type play. Is that what would happen again here, do you think?
Yeah, because the markets come down so much. It makes people act. That's what markets do in general, is it'll go down so low for people to either sell or buy, right? And so the market's always going to price to where, because people are emotional and some people are unemotional, and so it gets people to act. It gets good prices and smart and in good hands for a longer boom cycle.
I mean, that makes sense. Is that something they could do like overnight?
No,
Or is that?
Yeah, I think the Fed could come out at any time and lower rates without waiting for the next FOMC meeting.
Okay.
I don't know if they will, but and I'm not sure exactly, but I think that's the ultimate plan. Is we're coming into a period where the Fed will start easing dramatically. So.
I mean, makes sense to me. And then, it could be a quicker turnaround than we hope, which could be good for everybody. And does this still kind of follow your narrative, or at least what you see happening with the extended bull conversation? Do you think we're still there, or do you think?
Yeah. If that happens, we're there. We're going toward. I think we'll see Bitcoin do amazing numbers. I think Bitcoin dominance will get up toward above 65%.
It's at like 63.1 now, isn't it?
Yeah. So if we go, I think it'll almost act as in a way of like it's the new bull run, right? Even though Bitcoin's come up from 15,000 from the last bear market. And so, so I do see Bitcoin dominance going even higher.
I mean, if it does, I think it's kind of what we've talked about from the beginning on the ordinal side, right? It seems like an extended bull. If you look at, I don't think, I don't personally see another big meme coin kind of meta push. I think that I've never seen anything die so quickly. I feel like it died faster than even NFTs, probably because there's no visual that goes along with it. So it seems like it kind of leaves the marketplace even faster. I don't see ETH NFTs having anything happen that's big. I feel like that's kind of a dead duck in a lot of ways, not the existing ones, but in terms of a resurgence of excitement and innovation or creativity or new projects coming out. So what do you, I mean, Ordinals seem like they're in a prime position to do some really interesting things. Maybe, kind of looking at Ordinals on the PFP side, I think it's a bit of the art on Bitcoin. And I think, to me, at some point, there needs to really be a pretty big resurgence of innovation on what people are building on that chain. So it'll be interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I think there's actual art coming onto art on Bitcoin. Like Kafka's art is, my favorite art on Bitcoin. So there's a lot more value other than number go up in the ordinal space than like meme coins. Meme coins is, I'm in this because number might go up, right? And so it's very kind of doesn't bring much other value than what the ordinal space, in my opinion, can offer.
Yeah, I mean, but it seems like every time something does come that's new, it's not. It has a different flavor, right? I look at like the community side of things. I think the catalyst for a lot of those kind of exciting, quote unquote metas that came out with NFTs primarily on ETH, and then you look at meme coins and that large push is the underpinning is communities. So it's almost like trying to figure out where else can you can you use community to build that meta? B, what needs attention, or how is attention going to be received from that community, and what's that mission, or what are they going to push? And I feel like in order to really be, again, that large excitement or that large kind of momentous vessel, there needs to be an X factor, right? I think NFTs had that because first time we saw it. Meme coins allowed for that kind of hyper growth in a way that was different than NFTs did. And, it'll be interesting to see. I do think Bitcoin, especially if it's going to have that kind of market dominance, again, it's already at 63%, which is higher than I think it's been since at least 2019. I think it's right now higher than it ever was even in 2020. I don't know. The trickle down from that could be pretty wild.
Yeah, I agree. There's the X factor is the movement that the community has, right?
Totally. Sean, you've been around Ordinals, far longer than I have. Do you see any like it sounds maybe vague, but anything like any trends that you could see, or even kind of just reading the tea leaves as to where you think the market could go? Do you see anything different happening in Ordinals? Do you think it would just be that Ordinals hasn't had its day in the sun like a lot of these other, metas have, and therefore it's just time?
I think once the market changes, I think Ordinals will probably be one of the first things that shoots off, is my guess. Just because they haven't done anything quite that, they got released 2 years ago and they had a good run. And I just think that, and also I think that people are going to start creating new things, whether that be what we're doing or whether it be, like games we're seeing, or maybe some more real world assets like, tied to real estate, things like that. I think people are starting to get more creative in this market. And if you're building down during the downturn, then, you're ready for when it comes back.
No, I agree. I think the whole idea of build on Bitcoin, like you said, whether no matter the examples that you just gave, or even some of the common examples of kind of moving economic activity onto Bitcoin, I think is big. I think what'll be interesting again is kind of that convergence, right? So if built on Bitcoin is happening, and communities are a massive part of the ecosystem, whatever's being built, I think if it can benefit from community, it's huge, right? If you're moving real estate, that's I think it'll happen. I think it's gonna be huge. I think I believe in it just as much, I think, as anybody, but that's not so much. It's hard for a community to rally around that, right? Because it's logical. It makes a ton of sense. but posting about real estate or people can't buy real estate, or it's a smaller subset of people that can buy it or get emotional in their purchasing. I do think, and obviously biased, but I do think some of the consumer brands that could come out are interesting because it's something tangible that can be built, purchased, rallied around, brought attention to, et cetera, in a low entry point type of manner, right? Not something that requires a massive purchase or even a lot of thinking, right? I think that was one of the beauties of meme coins as well, that you don't have to think about anything. You just push. If you push hard enough, price goes up, everybody wins. I think if you can take that same playbook and apply it to a consumer brand, not only is it massive in our space, but if that consumer product is something that is relatable and approachable and of value to the mainstream, I don't think the mainstream has ever seen anything like a crypto product being pushed, where you turn it up and your timeline's dominated. There's a ton of engagement. There's a ton of comments. There's people constantly pushing it. That's something we see every day. If you go on any other social platform, or even if you look at X outside of crypto, like maybe politics gets that kind of attention, but even then, there's no real action there except for talking, right? So I think it would hit the market in just a wild way, right? Insert any brand that has a cool product that everybody's excited about, call it a beer brand, coffee brand, whatever. It could generate more attention than any of its competition, whether they're publicly traded with a massive marketing budget or not. It doesn't matter. I think that viral community approach is the X factor that, once applied to the traditional markets, is just going to be wild. I mean, I think the only example that I can think of, or comp or whatever precedent, is what happened with GameStop. Now, that was it was a consumer brand that was relatable and approachable. And that whole herd mentality of, we're going to build this, we're going to take this as our own, was great. That was specifically with stocks. I don't know if, GameStop had revenue go up during that period. I'm sure they did. But, if it's not to revive the brand, which I think it was with GME, but rather build the brand, I think it gets pretty interesting pretty fast.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think maybe there's room for maybe nonprofits as well on Bitcoin. If you can get a community to rally around something like we do our water towers. We're not a nonprofit, but we've seen it. We've seen so many people excited about the water towers, wanting to contribute to the water towers. So maybe nonprofits have a place somewhere.
Dude, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I remember I think I sent it around to you guys probably 15 times, but even back about a year ago, we saw even Vitalik Buterin saying the evolution of meme coins are mission memes. Then you saw Murad saying the same thing, right? And I don't think it's so much that it needs to be a meme coin by any stretch. I think it's much more of using that kind of cultural phenomenon of community for something good. And it's pretty cool to see. In our case, I think the most excitement and attention that people bring to the table is when we're giving, right? When the brand is giving water back to a community in need. And I can't get around the fact either that I think that narrative is something that crypto needs desperately, right? It's constantly looked as like a crypto bro, gambling, degenerate culture, which A, it is, and B, it isn't. It's more than that, but it definitely is. That's one of the major reasons everybody loves it, right? But at the same time, it can be the catalyst for so much more, right? You just, again, take that weapon of community and point it at something good. You're going to have that same, I think, engagement level, and the outcome is positive. I would love for crypto to have a narrative where it says, this is what can happen when you have a digital community. This is what happens when you build in crypto. You can do more good than the traditional model, right? We only have a handful of brands that are built on the blockchain. And if one or two of them are doing things that are positive, it's disproportionately valued, right? It looks like that's what crypto does. So I don't know what you guys are smiling about.
I just made a weird face. I don't know why.
Laughing at Sean. But no, hey, I agree. so if you have a brand like ours, you know, you've got coffee that people love, that they have, that it has value in itself, right? We can create that value on the Ordinal ecosystem and have people participate in making an impact in the world. And I think that that is something that this space is lacking, is because you can have this digital army that can just keep on growing and growing and making more and more of an impact around, like a real impact, like water, in the world, without the community being tied to on how much the price is going up, or if the price crashes, all of a sudden, like the most of the community leaves, right? And so the impact in the world comes to a halt, right? But if you've got a product where it's immune to price crashes, or you know, then it's driven on the mission and the value they get from the product. And so it's really a different dynamic, and it is a formula for a community to keep on growing. And it's not it doesn't enter into like a PvP scenario with other communities. Everybody from all these communities can be involved in this digital army making an impact in the world. And so I think that that's something very great for the space. It's something that could be pointed to without like saying, hey, we're just trying to get our token to go up, or we're just trying to get you know, something to go up. We're selling coffee and giving them at, you know, a price point that's giving them value, and then they're part of the mission, and they can see that they are actually a part of this mission, which, you know, it's much more, it looks much bigger than like if a brand was doing it in the world, off the digital world, because the perception of a digital army is so big. That's why GameStop kind of had such an effect, right? Is because it's just like all these unknown people, but the people involved, they know that they're involved, and they love that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think when you talk about the whole PvP thing and kind of what would come next, I mean, you look at the way ordinals are now, right? And I think it's far less PvP than other chains, right? You see people that are a member of all of them, right? Number one is you're able to, because there's not a ton. And also it just seems like a more mature take. It's kind of like rising tide raises all ships type mentality, right? And I think when you talk about consumer brands or brands, or even, you know, nonprofits or missions that are being built, I think, you know, Bitcoin becomes the natural home for that, because that's kind of already how it is. I could see, you know, the Ordinal community as products pop up, right, that are built on chain, supporting them all, right? Especially again, if it's not something where it's an expensive, you know, PFP, and you can only have one to be several $1,000s. Rather, if it's product oriented, especially if that price point is approachable, then absolutely, it's you're already buying that product in real life. You support the brands that are doing it on chain. I mean, I think that is a no-brainer. It's the antithesis of PvP. It's a way to flex, you know, the community that you're in, with you know, without it taking away from the other projects or brands that you're building as well. So, I mean, I agree 100%. And I think that, I think there needs to be some special sauce in whatever comes out next. I don't think it's, you know, I get that ordinals are, you know, it being inscribed is more permanent. I get all of that kind of stuff. But I think if it's too similar to, if you know, the ordinal push that'll come as a byproduct of, let's say, a big push in this bull, and a lot of, you know, market dominance by Bitcoin, I don't think it's essentially, you know, copy paste what happened on ETH. I think that would just be like a new NFT run. It's just a different chain. That's not different enough to get people out of bed, I don't think. I think people need a new flavor more than just a new chain. And I think now is going to be when you start to see the real innovation, right? I think when it's always like this, I think there's this kind of natural life cycle with innovation. I think the first people that enter are the artists, the next are the entrepreneurs, and the third are the companies or corporations, right? And I think everybody likes it when it's in between those first two, right? Especially if you look at, going back to ETH NFTs, those were the artists. Those were pioneers that were either heavy tech or heavy art. They didn't know what was out there. You needed an artist to kind of create the excitement. I think when entrepreneurs come in, that's when a lot of value is brought to the space, right? And that's the real magic. I think it starts to dissipate once you get into corporations, but in that middle ground is really when you can see some beautiful things really pop out. And I feel like we are in that wave, right? It can't just be art anymore. I mean, if it's an artist and it's great art, of course, in perpetuity forever. But I'm talking about that being the only thing. I don't think that's it anymore. I think entrepreneurs now come. I mean, enough attention on chain or enough attention on crypto as a whole, the market gets bigger. Entrepreneurs and builders see that, right? If there's a larger group to go to and it's not so niche, then it becomes very, very viable. And I think what you're going to see now are a lot of the people that were kind of, circling all of this, so to speak, and have been in here that are entrepreneurs build. It'll be a little bit more organic. Then you'll have entrepreneurs come from the outside that are figuring out how to monetize crypto more. That'll be good too. But I think right now you're going to see some special things happening. And if the market does, in the next month, weeks, several months, whatever it is, come back, I do think Bitcoin's the chain that it happens on. And I don't think it's going to be as simple as ordinals. I don't think it's going to be as simple as, what we expect. I don't think we fully expected meme coins to happen. I know that we didn't fully expect NFTs to happen because they never happened before. So there's going to be a need to be an element of innovation along with the existing community narrative. The community part's never going anywhere. The crypto part's never going anywhere. It's more, what are they going to build? And like Sean said, I think if it's a nonprofit / mission combined with something new, I think that is where we're positioning ourselves. And I do think that's where the puck is going. And if it's not going there now, it's going there eventually, because you are going to outgrow meme coins. You outgrow NFTs. You outgrow, I think, some of these smaller things. I think eventually that market evolves. I think that's a foregone conclusion. It's just a matter of when, and probably more of who presents it. And if they do it right, that creates that next wave.
Yeah, I agree. What you got going, Sean? You excited about your roaster?
I'm trying to get this hole just a little bit bigger to get electrical conduit to it. I've been doing it for an hour and I'm so close, but yeah, that's what I'm doing.
If you guys didn't know, Sean is an artist. Well, he's always had a passion for roasting coffee, and this is his chance to really shine. So we're really excited about this.
Check out my new hats.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
We got another one.
I think for us, everything starts to really accelerate. I mean, I get it. This is me speaking, but the branding and product, getting that rolled out, I think is something we've held painfully close to the chest, let's say. But I think once that's released, I think that's really when we can start to really kind of show where things are going. I think 2 months of, again, sort of building in silence, but by design, has been great. But I think it's going to be really exciting once we start to push hard, I think, with what we've been building for the last several months. I know I'm beyond excited about that.
Yeah, we'll finally be able to reveal and talk about, exactly what we're doing.
So. Yeah, I mean, this part's painful, but it is what it is. And I think it's also good. I think the time's great. I think if not having this kind of artificial urgency, so to speak, because the market's doing well, we gotta release, we gotta capture. I think it allows people to build things the right way. And I don't think it's a cliche that people build in the bear, and not that this is a bear by any stretch, but I think it does allow more time to kind of do things right. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And it's given us a lot of opportunity to kind of refine what we're doing compared to if we just rushed it out. So I think all in all, it's this little bit of a bear has helped one mug tremendously.
Oh man, I think without a doubt, I completely agree. Completely agree. So I think it'll be exciting. I know, Matt, you watching them? I feel like you always have kind of an eye on charts, at least.
No, I was just looking at something. You know,
You can lie; it's fine. Just next time, make me feel good and say, "Oh yeah, absolutely."
Always.
Yeah. Beautiful. We're almost up on the hour here. I don't know if there's anything you guys want to close out with. I think this week we could probably update a little bit more on the Sean on kind of the roasting once that's in place. Bring that out. I think that's going to be really exciting to talk about with everybody, and hopefully some of these brand elements we'll be able to do as well.
100%. Looking
Beautiful.
forward to it.
that'd be
Amen.
great. Love it.
Awesome, guys.
Close it out.
Cool. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same
All right.
place. We'll see everybody.